Hello everybody, my name is Maze and this is MazeCore. So, I'm kind of new on here. If you guys are new on here, welcome. I'm sure you are. Make sure you subscribe for more videos like this. So, if you guys don't know, I kind of got my start on Spoon. And I was doing a live on Spoon, which is kind of like a podcast app. Makes this whole thing kind of weird because there's a camera. Different process. So I was doing a live on happiness, and essentially the question, should happiness be the goal? What I mean by that is there's a whole movement out there right now about self-love and about happiness and how happiness should be our goal in life, and I don't think it's actually helpful to society. I don't think happiness should be the goal. And before anyone thinks that sounds terrible, hear me out. So, happiness isn't a bad thing. I want to first make that clear. Happiness is a very good thing, but it's an emotion. And you can't rely on emotions. So if we look at the definition of happiness, and I'm sorry if I look up and down, I actually am very ADHD, and so I presented myself with some notes, and that's kind of why I'll be looking up and down. So the dictionary says happiness is the state of being happy. Seems redundant, but it's true. So if you look at the definition of happy, it's the feeling or showing pleasure or contentment or fortunate and convenient. So it's a state of being, it's a state of being a feeling or showing pleasure or contentment or to be fortunate or convenient. The problem with this, there's a lot of problems I have with this. It's all circumstantial. If you're fortunate, it's circumstantial. How are we fortunate? Is it money? Is it power? It's also opinionated. It's not really a core definition. But we'll look at it as a feeling, because that's typically how we look at the word happiness, is as a feeling. And the problem with feelings is they're fleeting. So happiness is really important. It's a great feeling to have. But it's not reliable because it's a feeling. So, in other words, making it your life goal is completely unattainable, and it's not going to make anybody happy to be continually striving for something in which they will never consistently have. So, one of my questions is, as a Christian, and I think as a Christian, I need to continually ask myself this when talking about anything, really. What does the Bible say about happiness? The answer is, it doesn't. Happiness is not mentioned in the Bible, neither is the word happy. What is mentioned is the word joy. And I'm actually going to be doing a future video on joy. So if you guys are interested in that conversation, please make sure you're subscribed and click on the notifications. That way you guys can find out when I am doing that. The other question is, should happiness be the goal in our personal or spiritual lives? I would say no, and definitely no in our spiritual lives, because it's not even mentioned in the Bible. Now, if you come from a different faith, the answer might change. But coming from a Christian, it shouldn't be. It's not even in the Bible. And the last question is, do we deserve happiness? Which I'll address later. So, it's not even that I think that we shouldn't be pursuing happiness or we shouldn't make it our goal in life. It's also that I think it's dangerous. So the first problem is the good to bad ratio. What I mean by this is, when I was growing up, I was depressed a lot. And what would often happen is I would go, well, once every 6 months for about a month, maybe I'll be happy. So that means for 2 months out of the year, I'd be happy, and the other 10 months I would be miserable and depressed. what's the point of living? What's the point of life if you're miserable the majority of the time? At this point in my life, I wasn't Christian. And there's a lot to that story and a lot as to why I was feeling how I was feeling. But that's the dangers of happiness, is it often makes us compare what's good to what's bad. And the reason why I don't like this is because this comparison can be problematic in the way memories are utilized in the brain. So there's a whole study on how memories in the psychological community, on how memories are tied to emotion. Happiness is an emotion. So a lot of times when we see happiness as an emotion, unless we're extraordinarily like happy with excitement and everything, probably not going to remember it. At least for me, I have stronger emotions when I'm upset, when I'm sad, when I'm hurt, when I'm embarrassed, versus when I'm happy. It's not as strong of an emotion, so I'm less likely to remember it. And that has to do with how the brain utilizes memories and the purpose of memories, which if you guys want, put in the comment section. We can talk about memories and feelings in another video. The second thing that I find problematic about the pursuit of happiness is the personal testimony of happiness. So people are never going to be satisfied with their state of being. What I mean by that is, as humans, biologically, we have to consistently want to be better. And if we aren't achieving that, if we're not providing ourselves with constant improvements of ourselves, then we're never going to be satisfied. So if we make happiness our goal, we're never going to be satisfied because we're never going to reach that goal. Happiness will always have a bar that's constantly being raised higher and higher. The third problem is how we become happy. Happiness is a brain stimulation that often occurs from circumstance. So, for example, if I go shopping and I buy a pair of boots that I really like, that could make me happy. If I go on a roller coaster, that could make me happy. If I donate to the poor, that could make me happy. All the situations that I just told you are circumstances. When I do my video on joy and how I think joy should be the goal rather than happiness, you'll learn that the definition of joy and the standards that I'm going by is gladness without circumstance, or not based on circumstance. And that's the difference with happiness versus joy. Happiness is based off of circumstance, and we can't rely on circumstance. Getting emotion out of the way, you can't even rely on how we become happy. The goal is only achieved through the need of worldly things and desires. If you're a Christian, you probably know that that's a big thing that God doesn't want. He doesn't want us to be attached to worldly things or worldly desires. And personally, I've noticed the biggest difference when I become less attached to the world. I think that's really crazy. So maybe that's why it's not in the Bible. I'm speculating here, of course. But happiness requires worldly things, worldly desires. Joy doesn't. I kind of made a comparison in my notes. So those worldly things and desires are like caffeine. It leads us to believe our stomach is full, but it's a deception. If you drink coffee enough, you'll notice that you feel full on an empty stomach. You're not actually full. It just tricks your brain into thinking your stomach is full. That's kind of happiness. It tricks your brain into thinking that you're good, that you're content. But it's just momentary. It doesn't last. The last question is, do we deserve happiness? My answer? No. Happiness is something rewarded by a person's brain chemistry. To say we deserve happiness implies that we did something of value, and because of that, we have the right to happiness. I don't think buying boots means that I deserve to be happy. And the reason why I'm asking this question, do we deserve to be happy, is because I notice a lot of times when people are like, I don't know if I deserve to be happy, people are like, yes you do, you deserve to be happy. But a lot of times it's strangers telling people that. It's people using flattery to make other people better or feel better. And that doesn't really make people feel better. And even if it did, flattery doesn't actually help the person improve their life. It just doesn't. Their quality of life will stay the same. The only difference is they'll become complacent in it. The other problem with it is there are corrupt people in the world who are happy. There are people who are happy when they steal. Do those people deserve to be happy? Or do they deserve to be unhappy? I mean, that's the problem with deciding if someone deserves to be happy. I don't think anyone deserves to be happy. I think it's just something that's part of life. And the last thing that I'll kind of note, and this isn't even about the question, do we deserve to be happy? And maybe I should have addressed this earlier in the conversation. But I think by basing our entire life on the idea of just being happy or having a happy life or whatever it may be, it neglects all the other emotions that we go through. We need to be able to be angry. We need to be sad. Angry just means that we want change. It's a good emotion. It's a necessary emotion. Being sad allows us to reevaluate our lives. Every emotion that we have is necessary and beautiful. There's not one that goes above the other. The problem is when we have imbalances with those emotions. Being depressed doesn't mean that you want more happiness in your life. It means you want to level it out. So, here's my questions. Do you think people deserve happiness? Do you disagree with my critiques on happiness? And if so, why? Let me know in the comments below. I know this isn't a perfect video, so I'm sorry, I'm still trying to get used to this. It's very awkward being in front of a camera, but thank you guys for sticking around with me. And let me know what you guys think in the comment section below. I'm very interested, and if you are on Spoon, make sure you follow me, and don't forget to like this video, please. Have a good one, guys. I love you all. God bless.